then there's the time of warning, 25 years, 4 months and something, which ended December the 21st, 2012, right, which is the beginning of the time or age of the 13 heavens. Now, I'm a midnight baby. My birthday is actually 5 minutes to midnight Greenwich Mean Time, but because we have British summertime, my birthday is actually on the 17th, not the 16th. And I noticed that this harmonic convergence was on my 27th birthday. Right. Yeah. So me and a bunch of other people, 2 adults and a kid, who had birthdays on the 16th and 17th, went around Glastonbury thanking them all for coming to our party and being treated like VIPs anywhere we mentioned it. It was great. Anyway, I have 1 brother, no sisters. At some point I realised that on December the 21st, 2012, it would be his birthday, but he would be 54. So the first date was my 27th birthday, right down to the midnight between the 2 days bit, and the second prophecy date was his 54th birthday, and 54 is twice 27, or one's 3 times 9 and the other's 6 times 9, or whatever else they are. And that made me think, because I've always liked numbers and seen things in numbers that made my math teachers hate me. And, I thought, I've got as good a chance of making sense of all of this Mayan stuff as anybody else has so far, and I can have a real serious shot at this. And started reading the books, and Jose Arguelles, who started it, all says in his preface, foreword, whatever, that he thought he was on the brink of losing it totally as an alcoholic, so he gave up his job as a college lecturer and artist and went down to Mexico and took drugs and hung out with the indigenous people and tried to understand the Mayan view of the world and whether their carvings really work like kind of pictogram hieroglyphic things or not. And he said he lost it, basically, and it took as long as he took, and he's really glad that he came home eventually. And yeah, I tried, and I saw his point, but I didn't really get to I didn't understand it all. But I could see how he went mad. I can see that.
So what did he conclude?
That to understand the Mayan way of seeing everything, and their use of numbers and the language, it is indeed a pictorial language, what you have to do is get rid of everything you ever learned, because if you try and put pieces of that in this framework where we put newly acquired pieces of knowledge, they don't fit. You've actually got to get rid of the framework, manage without it temporarily, and start building the framework that they had in their heads, in which they placed knowledge and made connections in between pieces of knowledge. You have to get rid of our own modern Western one and attempt to see, starting with a blank sheet, what they had. And I tried, and I went a bit mad, so I stopped.
That sounds vaguely familiar. The more answers you get, the more questions you get, such as like
it
the
was really
fractal
hard to
nature.
survive. I still had to go to work and drive the taxi and go shopping and things, and I couldn't do that with a Mayan outlook on the universe.
Yeah. A lot of us have moments when our perception isn't necessarily congruent with what quote-unquote society.
yeah, we're not integrating.
No. And if you fail to integrate, you're either imprisoned or sectioned.
Yeah.
So yeah, we learn to navigate. Yeah. My advice is find people who resonate with your vision to talk to, because if you rant to people who aren't ready to hear it, then they'll express the fact that they're not ready to hear it.
In the process of going mad, I was doing stuff with numbers and trying to just forget all about base 10, everything where we use numbers base 10, forget all of that, and try and replace it with nothing, and understand how they did it. And there is stuff there are patterns. There's certain numbers are more significant than other numbers. Like the numbers in the Fibonacci sequence, we know that one. But there are numbers that they just pop up too often. Any scriptures that have plenty of numbers in them, like the Bhagavad Gita in the Old Testament and the Book of Revelations and stuff, 144 pops up everywhere.
Yeah,
they're all
I've
really mad.
spotted that one. That relates to a galactic cycle, doesn't it?
It's in the Fibonacci sequence as well. Things really get going at 144, in fact, in that sequence.
Isn't even the Bible, there's 144,000 chosen.
There are
will be
indeed
saved.
144,000.
So where were you going with the 144,000?
I'm trying to remember how we got there. We got to 144.
You were saying that there were some important numbers.
Yeah, thank you. And that's one of them. To try and confirm that there were important numbers, significant numbers that do something, maybe resonate, or maybe that's not what they do, but what I did, I invented two number bases, like instead of base 10 or binary or base 12, I invented two that may never have been used by anyone, or they may have been.
That's an interesting
Right.
concept. I'm learning something new.
Right. And I took numbers that appear in our base 10 to be more significant than others, and I can't see why, and I converted them into these. There were two number bases that were the alternate of each other, and then so I wrote them down, what they came out in that number base, and then I took that number and treated it as if that, whatever it came out, 5437 whatever, was base 10 and meant 5,300 and whatever I said just now. And what I found was, even when I'd put them through this ordeal, the numbers that seemed to have a relationship had not lost that relationship.
That's pretty
even though
cool.
the procedure I put them through was, as far as I know, completely arbitrary and pointless.
Wow. So yeah, that just points to there's something beyond what, beyond our concepts that links these
harmonics.
things.
I think it's about harmonics, but that we haven't really understood enough about harmonics yet, and resonance. First of all, there's this thing about if you're twanging a string, the length of the string, this is like one-dimensional, it's linear, is what it's all about. When you're blowing saxophone or making stupid speaker cabinets, it's all about the cross-section, the area of the horn. But then once the sound emerges into the room, out of the horn, the saxophone, whatever, it's in a three-dimensional space, it's in a volume. And there's, we know quite a bit about harmonics in a guitar string, and then when you go into area we know less, and when you get into room acoustics, it's quite mysterious, really. That's all about sound, but I imagine any energy that comes in waves and has a wavelength and a frequency, the behaviour would be similar.
I think you're completely right, mate, and I've got something for you here. Right. When dealing with numbers in general, when you count up in the sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, technically it's inaccurate, and there's no such thing as an odd number, because an amount of something can always be divided into half, especially when you're dealing in terms of when you're dealing with terms of an infinite universe. It can be divided in half forever. Well, no, it can't physically, so you can't divide this cup in half forever.
Yeah,
however,
but no, seriously, I would say, I do say, in the living world, the living material universe, everything comes as cells, or a primitive version of a cell. And you've either got a whole one, or you've got something that's dead or dying or not working properly. And in the non-living material universe, everything ends up, you've got atoms, and if you've got less than a whole one, if you're lucky, you've got an atom of a different element. If you're unlucky, you've got a nuclear explosion going on. So you get down to cells or atoms, and it's whole numbers. Nature works in whole numbers.
Yeah.
So, because otherwise you've got half atoms and dying cells, and which sort of points to the Fibonacci sequence, which goes 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, etc.
So like it implies there's no such thing in reality. In the greater reality, there's no such thing as an odd number, only the whole.
There are only whole numbers, I suspect.
Yeah.
It's just when you've got a multitude of them, you can have half a multitude.
Yeah.
So that's actually a whole number.
Yeah, that's it. So with the Fibonacci spiral, when you take it, when you look at it, obviously in the sense that it's going inwards as well. From an inward point of view, it eventually spirals into complete nothingness. As far as time and space is concerned, it would have to, which brings me on to this. Check this out. This is a depiction of DNA, human chromosomes. You've got X and Y here, and then you've got 23 X chromosomes and 23 Y chromosomes, which eventually makes 46 in total. And what this has been put into is Noah's Ark. You got 12 sections altogether, which are paired as 2, like this. Where's that pen? Right, okay. So in the story of Noah's Ark, right, the animals went in 2 by 2, and they were male and female like that, and there was 12 of them all together, and each of those animal also has there's like a quad polarity going in. It's called dipolar in science, which is like this, and that goes on all the way down. Oh, sorry, I fucked that up. Yeah, so it's like opposite of that, and this makes DNA spiral when you connect them up. So this shows how the Noah's Ark story is talking about DNA and the animals going in 2 by 2. And if you look at the last one, the 12 section here, there's only one polarity, which implies that this is to join on to a greater, again, another step.
Where did you get
which
this
is evolution. Me and Fiona figured this out from the dream.
Of course you did.
Links with the 144 because that's 12 squared.
The video was on approximately 14 and 44 seconds, as he said 144.
polar, a quadpolar and a dipolar. That's the sun's magnetic field.
Right. Yeah.
It's got sort of east and a west and the two we haven't got names for, and the north and the south.
Right.
Which is quadpolar and a dipolar.
Right.
Apparently the sun has this.
Yeah, I heard about that. Brilliant. Cool. So yeah, I think everything we just sort of talked about there relates in ways that there's more to understand about it, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're still in the dark ages, to be honest. I don't like anyone thinking we're nearly there or anything. Although I know it can look that way, but we're not.
We still can't build pyramids.
No.
Just discovered the next
Limestone under the ground, water running through them, creating electromagnetic fields. Stonehenge, pyramids,
As
Glastonbury.
discussed previously, it could be that if we built a brand new pyramid, perfect in every way, it wouldn't work now like it did then, because something that we haven't even discovered yet has changed.
Like the sun,
As
or the way the
discussed
sun is
previously,
radiating.
it could even be that what Tesla was doing around 1910 worked around 1910, but because of quite drastic changes in the, what was it, the sun's magnetic flux density, wasn't it? A concept acknowledged by NASA and all the establishment people, that's way weaker than it was pre-World War II when we first started measuring it and recording. And maybe what he did then doesn't actually work now. Maybe pyramids don't work now. Maybe alchemy doesn't work now.
Maybe it does.
If it is true that there are ages and each age has its nature and its character as specialist subjects, the two would go together rather well, wouldn't they?
This is true. However, if that's true, then that also would imply that if it's true that there are golden ages and dark ages, then it would also be true that the golden age is on its resurgence.
I think that every age goes through a golden phase when it's the
90s.